Thanks for logging on to Wayne.com for another Comet Hockey edition of Inside the Zone. Blake Sebring from the News Sentinel joining me. And Blake, this was kind of the week we expected to see coming out of the All-Star break. We'll just erase last week from our memories because this was a pretty decent weekend of hockey, Saturday's game notwithstanding.
Well, I think it's part of that is, like we talked a little bit about last week, it is the dog days of the season. And, you know, as much as the Komets have struggled lately, so has everybody else. I mean, if you look across the league, they're all having the same problems. Their kids, all the rookies have hit the amount of games that they played last year already, and they're kind of getting a little tired. And the veterans are like, man, how long till the playoffs? You know, I mean, they're all kind of in the same boat, and the travel's wearing on them, and it's getting longer, and it's not easy. I think Tulsa coming all this way. Right. For 3 games, and they played really well in all 3 games, really. They only won 1, but they played well in all 3, and everybody's kind of in the same boat. I mean, Wichita should have had an easier weekend than the Komets, and they ended up losing a couple, you know.
You mentioned the Oilers. Bruce Ramsey, former player-coach for the Komets. Let me get my
99,000.
99. I was going to say 2000 2001, but I was wrong. So 2 games with the Oilers.
Scored the biggest goal in like 5 years for the Komets when he scored to beat Quad City in overtime.
There you go. See, that's the kind of history you don't get from anyone else.
Nobody else is that old.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, man. So Bruce Ramsey comes into town, brings in an Oilers team that was above 500, and on Friday night we saw a pretty good hockey game.
Yeah.
Talk about what you saw from the Komets, because I know you're a big first period guy. Yeah. We didn't see it in the first period, but they turned it on late.
We didn't see it in the first period, and I kind of wondered if going into that if we were gonna, because you know they have that old Friday first game of the week, you know, where they've just practiced all week, and boy, you'd think they would have an answer to that somehow, somewhere, but it just didn't work. And I thought Tulsa's young kids really showed a lot this weekend. I mean, they really stuck to their game plan, especially Saturday night. They were great that way. They just frustrated the Komets and wouldn't let them breathe. And I thought that the Komets picked it up too late again on Saturday night, and they picked it up in time on Friday night to be able to pull it out. I mean, like we talked about in the story for Friday, it didn't matter what it looked like. They just needed a win to get some of the confidence back.
And one thing we harped on last week was they had a really bad week in power play, but heading into last week, #1 in the league, converting about 25% of the time, which is great, even better on the road. But they go 0 for 13. They go 0 for the power play on the weekend, but 0 for 13 against Tulsa. Was it Tulsa's penalty kill? Was it the Komets? Was it a combination of both? What did you see on special teams this weekend?
You know, the first thing about a power play is you got to outwork the 4 guys that are out there for the other team, and I didn't see that. I saw a lot of guys standing around. I didn't see them working hard. I mean, they dumped the puck in, and how many times did the other team beat them to the puck and dump it out? I mean, I didn't think they were working that hard on the power play. You know, they may disagree quite a bit, but I saw them getting outworked by those 4 guys a lot.
Is that something that surprises you? Because when we talked to Al Sims during practice last week, he said, power play's not really playing that bad. We've gotten opportunities. We just need to cash in on the opportunities. You get in trouble when you don't have opportunities.
I didn't think they had the opportunities this weekend. I really didn't. I mean, I didn't see them getting. You know, I kind of wonder too is they play such a unique style on the power play with the umbrella, with the two guys on the wing and 1 guy up top. Usually that's Frankie, and I wonder if that's easy to scout now because it is unique, and it seemed like Tulsa came back on Saturday night and had it all figured out. They didn't let the point guys shoot, and everybody else was standing around down low. They made it easy on them to defend.
In reading your stuff, I believe you said Saturday was one of the worst games of the Komets they had all season. But then they followed it up, going on the road at Quad City, and they put together a pretty good performance in a 4-1 win.
Well, and again, they scored first. How many times have we talked about they go on the road to get healthy? This team so far seems to play with a better focus on the road than they do at home, and I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's because there are so many fewer distractions on the road, but every time they get in trouble, they seem to pull themselves out of it on the road.
And Nick is not exactly terrible on the road either.
No. Yeah, it's funny, but his home record this year, his home numbers have been a little bit better than his road record this year.
Which is rare, but he does have 21 wins and is the best
I don't think we're complaining.
No, that's definitely not the case. Well, for the weekend, I said 0 for 13 on the power play against Tulsa, 0 for 16 overall, so they didn't necessarily ride it, although not that many opportunities out of Quad City. Going forward in this week, what are you focusing on in that aspect if you're Al Sims and the Gary Graham and this coaching staff?
You got to get Jesse Benefield going. You got to get him going. I mean, he's been getting chances. He's got to get a couple. He just needs some confidence going, I think, because he's a real streaky guy. You got to get Leo going a little bit. You got to get some of your guys who you are expecting to be your offensive leaders going. Even though Brett Smith is not going to be there again, you got to get Bobby Shomont firing and going. I mean, he had a lot of great chances this weekend too. He set up a great goal for Brent Henley yesterday, which was just really something else. But you got to get your guys that you're counting on to be the money makers going a little bit.